What do we do about it? You know, churn rate, for example. If you're losing customers, speak to the customers that have churned.
That's
Ask them.
it,
And
yeah.
often, you know, don't just take it from internal. Oh, we think it's because of the A, B, and C. Okay. Why wouldn't you call those customers and just say, look, I'm not going to try and convince you any differently. I know you left us 3 months ago. I hope you wouldn't mind a few minutes of my time. I've joined the business, and you know, disappointed that we let you down. What? Just tell me. There's no finger pointing. It's I want to learn, and you'll be surprised how many customers will share stories with you and tell you why. And sometimes it's just nothing. It's just circumstance. But sometimes it'll be something in the business that could have been resolved.
Talking with the experts.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. My name's Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. And Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners. And you can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. And today my guest is Ian Moyse. And Ian, his business is called One Up Sales. And today we're going to be talking about moving dials and marginal gains. Now, Ian is the Chief Revenue Officer at One Up Sales and was awarded the accolades of UK Sales Director of the Year by BESMA, and was twice listed in the top 50 sales keynote speakers by Top Sales World. Ian has been a regular judge on the Women in Sales Awards and Top Sales Awards. Ian has worked in 7 tech startups, helping them move their dials to greater success, with 4 of them having successful exits. Welcome, Ian, and thank you for joining me today.
More than welcome. Thank you so much for inviting me.
So tell me, what are marginal gains, and can you explain that so we can all understand what they might be?
Yeah, sure. And I was doing this, I guess, in sales and in joining smaller businesses, but not knowing the label it was given, or the package I would put it under. And once I realized what it was, you sort of realize this isn't something I came up with, but it's a simple methodology that helps you drive performance increases and drive the business in the right way. So I've joined smaller companies where I've been brought in to help them grow, help them do better, help them do things they weren't doing. And in joining them, I don't come in with some epiphany of, here's the golden key. I've got this hidden secret that I can come in with, and one thing, and suddenly your world becomes better, because no one's that stupid. Like, you started a business, you've had success, but now you want to accelerate that growth. It's about lots of small things compounding. So marginal gains is about not trying to boil the ocean, not trying to come in and say, right, we want to take this from here to here overnight. It's about what are the small steps and how do you do it? And the key thing to understand, it's about the combination of them that works. So, for example, in metrics, there's a couple of sides I look at: metrics and sales behaviors. On the metric side, think about some of the dials. Think of, the obvious one is average deal value. If I can increase your average deal value by a percentage, we're better off. Whatever that percentage is, if your average deal value goes up and you keep doing everything else the same, you are better off. Okay. So if I can do that, if I can do what's called quote to cash, the velocity of the deals quicker. So if your average sales cycle is today, pick a number, 90 days, can we move that to 85 days, which means you are closing business slightly quicker. So every 85 days, you're slightly ahead of where you were before. And of course, we've still increased the average deal value. So the two compound together. Then you look at things such as, well, can we increase the number of transactions we do in a period? And if we're doing 30 transactions a month, can we do 32, 33? The win rate, well, we win 1 in 5, right? Great. Can we move that to 1 in 4? So you see, it's not about suddenly going, what's your overall panacea aspiration? It's not about saying, we want to be winning 1 in 2. We want to be doing 500 transactions a month. You can't jump straight to it. You can't suddenly be at the top of Everest. It is about those small steps in the right direction. And by doing those, a couple of things happen. One is people believe in it, that it's achievable. If I said to you, great, Rose, I've joined your business and your average deal value is 5,000. Do you think we can increase the average deal value to 5,500? Taking a number out the air without understanding the business or anything. You know? So I come in, assimilate what's there, look at what the product is, the lights, get an understanding, and then think, okay, over the period of what can we do this? So for example, over the next 12 months, we're going to move the average deal value from 5,000 to 8,000. We're going to increase the number of transactions from 30 a month to 35 a month. You can spreadsheet that and in a second go, how much better would we be in month 12 than month 1 if those things become true over that period? Not overnight, not by tomorrow. Sometimes you get a lucky win, right, where you can spot something that does drive it much quicker. But if you look at it in that period, every business owner, salesperson who's targeted involved, I've talked to around this, thinks, yeah, I can see how we could get there. It's got to be believable to be achievable, right? There's no point saying pie in the sky. Now, what often happens is you'll say we want the average deal value to go from 5 to 8,000 or from 50,000 to 70,000, whatever the numbers in your product or service are.
That's quite a big jump though, isn't it? And you can't really expect someone to achieve that in overnight. It takes time.
No, exactly. So you've got to pick a time that's realistic. Everyone wants gratification instantly, right? I want it to happen now. But if you set a plan to do it over, say, a 12-month period or 6 months, depending on what the nature of the business is, something that's realistic, people believe in it and start to strive towards it and change behaviors, which we'll come on to achieve that. What I've seen happen often, though, is you'll set this goal of 5,000 to 8,000 average deal value in 12 months. And guess what? 7 months in, you've got there. Because you weren't trying to do it in 7 months, but naturally, because of the behaviors and actions taken by everyone involved, it gets you there quicker. More often that happens because you set the bar at an achievable level, not pie in the sky. You look at the win rate, you look at upsell and cross-sell, right? The clothing, can we increase the percentage on that? What's our churn rate of customers? Can we reduce that slightly? If you move all of those dials slightly to a believable level, then all of them compound to a far greater outcome. Suddenly in a year, there's not been any great thing that's changed massively. All these little things have changed marginally, but the overall result, the compounding of those, is far greater. And the story I came across, not because I used that, I'm sort of doing this, but is the British cycling team. There's a whole story you can find online where a guy called Dave Brailsford and his team came in and coached them to incredible gold medal success time after time. And he didn't come in and do one big thing. He came in and said, look, I can't re-engineer anything massively because it's all been done. But what we can do is, maybe what we could do is, rather than the tyres warm up on the first, when you start going, let's put heaters on the tyres. So they were already warm the minute you start. So you get a little bit better performance on the first lap. Let's focus on this type of pedal and adjust that slightly so you can get just half a pedal extra every lap. And that compounding of all the little things he did, if I remember right, it was 10, 15, 20 little things, created incredible success for that team. And that's what it's about. It's about finding lots of little things that you can do slightly better in terms of the metrics. And also the sales behaviors. You do the same on sales behaviors. Everyone thinks, oh, we've got a great sales team. Yes, you may well do so, but no one is perfect. You know, I'm still learning. I'm not learning fundamental things because I've been doing it a long time, but I'm still learning little tuning of how you say things, how you engage with a prospective customer that affect the outcome of the deal, that affect the velocity that you win, that affect the win. So it's about doing lots of small things and identifying what they are, and then focusing on them and communicating to everyone involved in and around those. We're going to try and move this dial from here to here. Here's the ideas we've got. What ideas do you have? And it could be back office people. It could be support people, process people. It's not just a sales leader or a salesperson's job to come up with these ideas. It could be something in your business, for example, that the velocity of winning a customer is slowed down because at some point in the process, they need to have a technical engagement call, maybe, and that normally takes a week to 2 weeks to schedule in the diary. Therefore, how do we do that? Do we recruit someone so we've got more bandwidth? Can we automate some of that process so that there's some self-service through a form where they fill it in and it gives us a faster response rate? What is slowing it down? And that could be a multitude of things, right? It's not always on the obvious thing, which is sales at the front end.
Yeah, a lot of businesses don't dive deep enough, really, do they? Just look at the surface of the problem, and they don't really think of it that there's a solution to it. They just keep digging further and further, and there's they don't come up with any solution for whatever it is that's going wrong within their business. I think that's why a lot of businesses fail.
The devil's in the detail, right? And I've done this company after company. When I join, I don't come in like a bull in a china shop. I know process and things, but I don't know that business and their process and their challenges and how they interact with customers and how the product structure and how all the bits. So the first thing I do is I want to assimilate and understand as much as possible. Talk to customers, talk to the people already there, and just ask questions. Just ask question upon question. So why does it take? What's the average? Well, why does it take that long? Why isn't it? Because walk me through the process. Okay. And often things come out. Okay. Why does that bit take 2 weeks? Okay, got it. And it's not trying to come up with solutions on the spot. It's trying to understand. Once you understand, you can start identifying. Okay, that's the area. That's the most likely area that could be improved. What do we do about it? Churn rate, for example. If you're losing customers, speak to the customers that are churned. Ask them. And often, don't just take it from internal. Oh, we think it's because of the A, B, and C. Okay. Why wouldn't you call those customers and just say, look, I'm not going to try and convince you any differently. I know you left us 3 months ago. I hope you wouldn't mind a few minutes of my time. I've joined the business, and disappointed that did we let you down? What? Just tell me. There's no finger pointing. It's I want to learn, and you'll be surprised how many customers will share stories with you and tell you why. And sometimes it's just nothing. It's just circumstance, but sometimes it'll be something in the business that could have been resolved.
Yeah, like bad customer service or delay in processing or shipment or whatever.
Might be something fixable, might not be, but unless you understand, you won't ever know.
No, that's correct. You need to ask.
And the great thing about these small things is, they're believable. So particularly if you're new into a business, they're great to think. It's a process I go through. It's not that I've got all the answers. They could have done it themselves, but it's having that mentality of process to understand identify what those things are, and then to execute upon them. And if you get people buying into it in the business and they start to see the success, guess what? It gets easier and easier. And I remember a time when I did explain this to some people when I joined the business, and about 8-9 months later, I remember one or two of the salespeople out for drinks. You built rapport, you know them now, and I remember them saying to me, when you said that, and you said you'd move the dial from here to here, but eventually we'll get up there, but this is the first step. We didn't believe you, because we've been here several years. We didn't believe you that we'd get to this higher level, because we took sales values from doing lots of £5,000 deals in the UK to doing lots of £50,000 and £100,000 deals. But that took me over a 2 to 3 year period. But I kept doing this nurture, kept doing this marginal gains, a little bit more. And interestingly, again, what often happens is initially the marginal gains are smaller, but as you start getting that gain from 5 to 8, the next jump often is 8 to 15. It's not the same jump each time, because things have changed in the business that drive that behavior, that you engage different types of customers. And it's fun to do it. It's fun to see that maturing, and the teams love it as well. It's very motivational. So that's process, I guess. That's metrics. The other bit that you need to combine with this is sales behaviors. Is not assuming that sales behaviors that you've got are the best they are, and that's not accusatory of salespeople not doing their job. It can be simply that salespeople have not been pointed in the right direction or coached to change behaviours.
Mm.
And too often, and you mentioned the sales awards I judge, I get the pleasure and benefit to interview a lot of salespeople, both in recruiting, but also in the awards. You get to engage with a lot of salespeople from different industries that otherwise you would not meet. And they are trying to demonstrate their sales skills and answer questions. So you get a good rounding of what's going on. And in general, I think a couple of things. A lot of salespeople assume they are better than they are.
Yeah, that's a given, I think.
And a lot make very fundamental mistakes, because when I get new salespeople, I often ask them, well, what do you think your weakness is? What do you think you want to be coached on? What do you want to learn more about? And often it's, well, I'd like to be better at negotiating. It's never anything basic, like, because I've got all that, I've done that. It's not, I'd like to be better at public speaking and this stuff. It's like, well, they're not the fundamentals of sales. The fundamentals of sales is having a conversation and asking questions and getting understanding of how you can help that client, how you can place that client in a safe place to buy. And I never get people say, I want to be better at questioning, because they know that. I want to be better at communication. Well, I do that all the time. They just take it as read that they're good at it. And most of them, I would challenge, are not as good as they could be.
Mm.
I'm still learning to be better at questioning and communication and conversation. The reason I say that is it is a fine art to do so. To ask a question with the right verbiage that gets someone to talk to you and gets the answers that help you to do a better job with that customer. And that is an art form. And people think, well, so I just ask a question, right? So, you know, a couple of things I've talked about recently on a number of different speaking events is, one is conversation, not communication. And I'll be interested in your opinion on this one when I say it. And the other one is changing the channel. And I think there has been a negative impact on these during COVID. So let me give the example for listeners and see if this resonates with anyone. Have you ever asked a salesman, we've got a great prospect customer, Sue, have you spoken to XYZ? How are they getting on with that prospect? Have you spoken to them recently to see how we're getting on? Are we going to win their business? Oh, yeah. I chatted to them yesterday, and blah blah blah. Okay. Do you ever challenge them and say, when you say chatted, forget the blah blah blah. I'm not interested in that bit yet. Firstly, when you say chatted, what do you mean by that? And how often I get salespeople say, well, we exchanged emails. That's not chatted.
It's not a chat.
That's not
It's
chatted.
the communication.
Exactly. And that's the key. And that is what I see going on so often. People are phrasing things in a way that intimates they had a conversation like this, video or voice, and they didn't. And if you look in your CRM's, sales leaders and salespeople listening, think about, have you caught yourself doing this? It's so easy to fall into this. And let me give you the change the channel piece. If a customer emails you, yeah, I'm not quite sure I understood the pricing. This isn't what we expected. Could you do a bit better and do X, Y, Z? The chances are you'll email back, because we seem to habitually have got into staying on the same channel. If I send a WhatsApp, that person will WhatsApp back. If I text them, they'll text back. It seems to be a habit that people have fallen into. How often does someone WhatsApp you and you've responded, for example, saying, actually, rather than 20 WhatsApps, let me call you?
Yeah.
No, you go, da. People do it on email. And during COVID, a lot of people have become keyboard warriors because it's so easy to do so, because we're sat at home, we're in front of the keyboard, and it comes in. Changing the channel means looking at it and pausing for a second, thinking, actually, what I just described about that commercial discussion, respond back to them by all means on email. Don't just phone. I get if you just pick the phone up, it might be not the right time for them. Respond back. Dave, fantastic feedback. Love to chat to you about that. When's a good time for a call? I'm available at this time and this time. Change
Yeah,
the channel.
I get what you're saying, because it's sometimes the written word gets misconstrued. You as the writer, you are you're putting the emotion, you're putting all the what you think are the right words, but however the receiver may misunderstand what you've said, because written word has no emotion. And so it's more times better than not to actually speak to them using your voice, because you've got tonality, they can see your face, so there's not much mistaking what your intent is.
And to that point, it gets worse, because they misunderstood you and reply. If you don't then interpret their reply to understand the misinterpretation they've had, if you don't figure that out, you now just reply to what they've got. You've now gone off course, right? You're now replying to something that they didn't, that's the wrong answer, because they've asked the wrong question, because they didn't understand what you said in the first place, and they've gone down the wrong path. You've now entertained it and gone down that path because you've not realized they've misunderstood, and you can end up in a whole mess. And what happens then? 10 emails down the road, it's I don't get this. Then you end up on a phone call. Well, why did you get a phone call in the first place and handle it? And here's another point. Would you agree you buy from people that you like, trust, respect, etc., right?
Yeah, most often.
Right, you may not buy from them, but you might still go. But if you meet those criteria and you don't buy from them often, you go, sorry, we didn't choose your. You apologise to them for not buying from them because you like them.
Yes,
you respect them.
Yes, I've done that quite a few times. Yeah.
But to do that, you need to build rapport, right? Yeah. You need to have a rapport. Too often, I think salespeople say, "Oh yeah, I've got a great relationship with Dave." Well, no, what you're saying really probably is you've got great rapport. Have you really got a relationship? Could you really ask them?
Two different things, yeah.
Yeah, could you really ask them to do a big favor for you? Could you? Or is it, no, they talk to me and we're friendly? Well, that's rapport. For me, a relationship is, I could say to them, could you do a big favor for me? Could you go and do something? And it's going to take some of their time or effort. It's going to take some, they're going to have to give something really to me, and I'll do it. That's a relationship. But to get to a relationship and to get to good rapport, you have to build that up. And what I say to my team is, you build it up easier through conversation, communication to a degree. If you think about, you've got this money bank, this piggy bank here, and you want to fill it up with rapport. Every time you have a polite email communication, there's the smallest coin you can put in there. Every time you have a conversation, and particularly if it's video and you have more interaction, and you perhaps, video is great for that, because often you're in their home, right, and their kids run, and it makes it engages you more. That's one of the benefits of COVID, I guess. We've ended up in people's homes talking to them. Is you want to be putting more coins in that piggy bank, and the bigger coin you can put each time, the better. What you're building up is your rapport bank, and at some point there's enough in there that you could say, actually, I've saved up to be a relationship now, right? And then you can take something out of the piggy bank. You can't take £50, $50 out of that bank if you haven't put $50 in.
No, that's right. You can't expect people to like you just because you have a business relationship. They might not like you at all, but they might like your product. So there's lots of variables to that, but people don't understand that. You go to the supermarket or go shopping, and especially to buy a car. Oh my God, I hate going to buy cars, because I think car salesmen are the most pushy people there are. And they treat you like they know you.
Yeah. But if someone does a good job for you, I've been in a shoe shop before, right, where the individuals buying the shoes, great, has then said, Mr. Moyse, can I just add, and I'll tell you how the trick in a second, that I've then realised, Mr. Moyse, do you need laces for those shoes? And because of the nature of it, I just wanted to check, have you got brown polish? Because it's not usual. People usually got black at home. Do you need that? Trying to upsell me, right? But did it in such a way that was helpful, trying to help me. It wasn't I'm trying to sell you something. It was, I just check and use my name. And the reason she used my name is because I'd handed my credit card over at that point. And she glanced without me even noticing and she said, "Mr. Moyse, just a thought, have you got brown polish at home?" I'm like,
Yeah, it's good customer
"Do you know what?
service. That's excellent.
But personalized it, engaging, friendly, smile, and oh my gosh, selling shoes, right? So you don't get that often, as you say, buying a much more expensive item. So it's so important, those marginal things. Think about what we're talking about there. None of what we've just spoken about sales behaviors is rocket science. None of it is a big epiphany of change, but I think people assume they're doing this stuff. They assume
And
they're
they're
being
not.
polite.
No.
They assume they're if I phone a prospective customer, I phone someone and they go, "Ian, so I was on the phone to someone the other day. Perfect example. We're having some discussions, a prospect, and something that's happened." I said, "It sounds like something's happened. You're not with me there." He said, "Yeah, sorry, someone's just shouting. I think something's happened on our firewalls. We've got a bit of a problem." I said, go and deal with that. Your mind's somewhere else. I'll ping you and you can tell me when's a better time." Being respectful of, not going, "Well, no, this is about me trying to sell you something. So, oh, okay. And anyway, blah, blah, blah." I just, rather than wait for him to say and trying to be discomforting on his side, trying to exit the call, I immediately could tell he was distracted and asked why. Stop.
That's it.
And he told me, and I said, "Go and deal with it. Mike, go and deal with it. It's far more important than this conversation for you right now. Speak later." Guess what? Another coin in the piggy bank, because he'll remember that, okay, the way I dealt with it was appropriate.
Yeah, that's right.
It
And
was.
it isn't rocket science. It's just politeness. I mean, if someone's distracted, then, especially if you're on the phone and you can tell, really, why continue a conversation that they're not paying attention to anyway?
But too often, and I get it, people trying to sell to me, I'm sure you get the same. What I would say is they're not putting themselves in the shoes of the prospective customer.
No, they're not.
How do you want to be sold to? And these are all small marginal behaviors. So if you combine those with focusing on what are the metrics you want to move, marginal gains on metrics, what are the marginal gains on sales behaviors? Get your people having more conversations. And the excuse I have to get is, "Yeah, but people are busy and haven't got time to be on the phone with me," whereas I can email them and then it's in their inbox and they can reply at any time. I get that. And there's a place for that. And I have several calls coming up today. I had several demos with prospective clients yesterday. Spoke to them. Guess what? Yes, afterwards I sent them a follow-up. Okay. But one of them, during the call, there was something that came up and I said, "Well, look, not for everyone else on the call. I could have just emailed him some stuff in an email afterwards." I said, that piece there, why don't we jump on another call later today, just me and you? Would 4:45 work? I've got a slot in the diary." Yes. And we had another call at 4:45. Instead of 4 people on the call, it was just me and that individual. We had a one-to-one to discuss that specific thing, rather than I just put it on email to him. I'll put it on email. I had another conversation where I had a chance to build more rapport, ask some more questions, understand a little bit more. And some very insightful information came out on that call that I didn't get on the group call. People often, and he felt more relaxed. And then I followed that up with a separate email. So email and communication has its place, but it shouldn't replace conversation. And too often it is. And it is impacting your success rate. So think about what I talked about, win rate. It's impacting your win rate, but do you know it?
Yeah, I agree. Totally. I mean, if you have a telephone conversation with somebody, then you should be following that with an email to make sure that you've understood the conversation in the first place.
Yeah, the facts. Here's compliment. And they always, for me, what we do, it's always at some point, can we understand the commercials? Absolutely, transparently. Let me talk you through them right now. But by all means, note them. But I'm going to send you them afterwards, so you've got it in writing from me, confirmed, so there's no misunderstanding. Does that work for you? Absolutely, brilliant. So let me tell you what it is now. No problem doing that, to be totally transparent. And I want to do it now, not on just email, because guess what? If you just send it on email, then you've got no interaction. If they go, oh, wow, that's really good. Okay, why did you think it was good? Why did you say it was really good? We thought it was going to be far more expensive. Fantastic. Or the converse, "Oh, that's more expensive than we thought." Why did you think that? Well, do you not see them? You've got an opportunity to engage. If you just send them it, you don't know what that reaction is. That immediate reaction.
No, you don't.
And that's why a lot of salespeople I hear say, oh yeah, well I sent them such and such, and they're ghosting me now. I can't get hold of them.
I wonder why.
Well, there's two reasons, right? One is you hadn't built rapport, and two, you've used communication where it should have been conversation, and you've dug your own hole. And none of that is high level, complex negotiation skills or public speaking skills. This is the fundamentals, as I said at the beginning, of conversation and questioning, the basics of selling.
Yeah.
And too many do not do it well.
No,
They do not use the skills, and questioning is the bugbear of mine all the time. Because people ask, and those listening, be conscious of, one of the things I always look at as well is be conscious of traditional sales methodologies being used literally. So we've got BANT, Scotsman, Spin, etc. Right? TAS, there's loads of them. And people take them literally. Yeah, can I understand what budget you've got? Well, what if they say I haven't got one? What do you do now? Okay, can I understand who makes the decision, and what you're trying to achieve, and when you want to do it by? Great, I've been successful because I came off the call with those 4 things. You failed. You failed.
Of course you did. Because you haven't got the sale at the end anyway, have you? You've just asked.
Well, not just that, Rose, but if they, for example, if they tell you the time scale, oh yeah, we're looking to do so for the next 4 to 6 weeks. Great. What most salespeople do is go, great, tick box, I got the time scale. I can fill it in the CRM. I got the time scale. Yep, got it. You failed, because a smart salesperson, and I do this in interview, so I'm giving a little bit away if anyone interviews with me and has read that, listen to this. But what I expect people to do is say, okay, you asked me time scale, okay, 4 to 6 weeks, and what I want them to do is say, okay, thanks for telling me. Why is it 4 to 6 weeks? Isn't it an obvious question? You've just said 4 to 6 weeks. Why is it 4 to 6 weeks? There's obviously a reason you picked 4 to 6 weeks. You haven't just rolled a dice and then gone 4, 6. There you go. You've got a reason. What is the reason it's 4 to 6 weeks? Well, because we've got this other project on, and we've got to finish that first. Okay. And is that running to schedule? What if that overruns? What if that overruns? Well, this project will get delayed. Great. So now I know, if I commit this in 4 to 6 weeks, they say, we're going to go ahead with you, Ian. And in 4 to 6 weeks, that 4 to 6 weeks could get delayed, because they've just told me if that project overruns, mine gets put back. 2 or 3 more questions. And guess what? It also builds rapport, because you've asked those questions and your competitor hasn't. Therefore, you have a chance to increase your win rate, because the customer builds more rapport with you and you're more interested and you understand more. And if I understand more, I've got more opportunity to engage in a better manner with you, to put you in a safe place to buy, and you're more likely you'll buy from me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100% agree with you. So now, where can people find you, young Ian?
Young, I haven't been called that in a while. So you can find me 2 places, ianmoyse.co.uk and ianmoyse.cloud. Those will take you directly to my LinkedIn and my Twitter accounts. And by all means, if you're looking at improving your sales performance, come and have a look at oneupsales.co.uk. And we have customers around the globe, including in Australia, and take a look at what we do.
Perfect. And just asking a question, have you written a book?
Do you know what? I haven't, but it's in my head and I've got draft notes everywhere. And if I ever find the time, I keep intending to. I thought during COVID, that was my plan, but I did lots of other productive stuff, lots of guesting on speaking and panels and doing other stuff and blog writing during COVID. And I thought during COVID, I'll get the book done. Nah, but at some point I will commit, you will see that out there on this type of stuff, the fundamentals of moving the dials in sales. What it's going to be called, I don't know yet.
No, sounds perfectly perfect. I think it's a great subject. It's salespeople could take a lot of, would get a lot of benefit from reading it, I'm sure.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right, Ian, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll talk to you again very soon.
Super. Thank you very much.
Bye.